Happy Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. My name's Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. Before we get started today, guys, make sure you're hitting that like button if you're watching on Facebook. If you are watching on Rumble, hit the thumbs up button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. It really helps out the algorithm. Really helps out the show, helps promote it. Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, is an absolute genius. Is an absolute political genius. Perhaps some of the idiots from New York could sit back with a notepad and maybe take some notes. We'll dive into all of that. Also, this week, the House may vote to expel George Santos, despite not being convicted of anything. But hey, he made the people in power look bad, so he's got to go. Also, a 21-year-old engineering student was arrested for trying to blow up a Jewish center at Cornell University. As I said, the rise of anti-Semitism on college campuses is absolutely terrifying, and there's a big reason for that. We're going to go over all that today. Sorry for the late start today. Obviously, getting into the office today was a bit rough. You know, the weather up here in the Northeast is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. So obviously people forget which pedal moves the car. No, I'm on Rumble today. Amanda. Let's see. Let me pump this right in here. Let me drop that Rumble line in the chat. If you guys aren't on Rumble yet, look, I appreciate everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube, but quite frankly, if you're not on Rumble, I don't know what the hell you're doing, where you're allowed to say whatever you want because they believe in free speech. Because they believe in free speech over on Rumble. So make sure you guys head on over to rumble.com/loudmajorityus and sign up over there so that, in the event I get booted off of Facebook or YouTube, which, let's be honest, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time until that happens. You guys can always find me rocking and rolling here Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. So, Mike Johnson is a political genius, an absolute genius, and this is why what Matt Gaetz did was so important. And I know a lot of people were, some people were very vocal about their criticisms of what Matt Gaetz did, getting rid of the omnibus sort of spending packages. What Mike Johnson has done in the House of Representatives is the natural outgrowth of removing these giant appropriations bills. Why? Matt Gaetz fought for single subject spending bills, and he got them. Now, the funding for everything, be it Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, our border, are all single subject bills. See, what used to happen in the House of Representatives is they would tie in some ridiculous foreign aid package to funding American veterans. That way, people in Congress and people in the Senate would have to vote. They would have to vote for the ridiculous overseas spending package because they didn't want to not fund our military. They didn't want to not fund our veterans. But now, because of what Matt Gaetz is able to do, now we're going to get an up and down vote on Israel funding. President Joe Biden has already said he would veto any legislation on Israel that didn't include Ukraine funding. Now, the majority of Americans have very much soured on America's side chick, Vladimir Zelensky. As a matter of fact, a Zelensky advisor yesterday came out and said that everyone in the Ukrainian government has been stealing like there's no tomorrow. Turns out when you dump $113 billion into the most corrupt country on planet Earth, you're going to get some people stealing some stuff. Go figure who would have thought it. So now what Mike Johnson has done is he has pulled funding, or what he's attempting to do. He is going to pull funding from the IRS. You remember we wanted the defunding of those 87,000 IRS agents, the people who were going to come after you if you had a $600 Venmo purchase? Those people, he is pulling funding out of the IRS and sending that money to Israel. Now, I want to be clear. On this show, on many shows like it, I say no funding for anybody. However, I live in reality. Where I'm pretty sure Israel funding is going to go through one way or the other. So why not take the funding from a place that no one truly wants it, like the IRS? He has also decided to cut funding from ridiculous agencies like the Environmental Protection Agency, like the Department of Transportation, like Housing and Urban Development, which is not a federal issue. Thus, that department ought to be removed because there's nothing crappier than government housing. But what Mike Johnson has been able to do here is he has put the Democrats in an impossible situation because the House is going to pass the Israel funding 100%. Then it will be up to Chuck Schumer whether or not to bring that legislation to the floor. And I can promise you, there is nothing that is going to hurt Democrats in swing states like not voting for or voting against Israel funding. Many of the top donors support Israel. They are obviously our top ally. Many of them may have businesses over there or family or friends or what have you. Chuck Schumer has been left in an impossible situation. Moreover, if the Senate does bring this bill to the floor and it passes, Joe Biden has already said he would veto the bill. Now you've got a Democratic president vetoing aid to Israel in the midst of a World War III situation because it doesn't include Ukraine funding. Nick, Anthony, Andrew, Mike, this is called politicking. Politics as a verb. This is how you get it done. You put your opponent in an impossible situation so that they can show the radicalism for what it is. They can show their radicalism for what it is. Perhaps you could take some notes. Moreover, as a fiscal conservative, Mike Johnson, what he has been able to do is make this revenue neutral so that we are not borrowing money from other countries in order to fund wars that those countries are funding on the other side. Why on earth would America ever send money to Taiwan with borrowed money from China so that Taiwan can defend itself against China? That doesn't make any sense. But that is the American economy in a nutshell. That is the American economy in a nutshell. Rumble chat is lighting up, as always. Enough money for Ukraine? Absolutely. I'm done paying for some cokehead in a tracksuit to pretend like he hasn't already lost this war. Because even if you believe in the concept of Ukraine funding, which I don't, Ryan Mott is in the chat. What's up, brother? Even if you believe in the concept of Ukraine funding, they've already lost. They have already lost. Where will they get the Israel money from? That's important. Thank you for bringing it up, Ryan. I said it a minute ago, but they're going to take it from the IRS, making it revenue neutral. Now, this is not what I want. However, this is a step in that direction of what we would want. We want spending cuts across the board. We want to stop funding we want to stop growing the national debt. However, most Republicans, the majority of Republicans, hell, even some Democrats, do not want to see an 87,000 IRS agent increase because they know it is just going to go against the American people. So remember, guys, as your fantasy football season winds down and the commissioner of your fantasy football league wants to send you your winnings over Venmo, I don't know, maybe you're in a 12-person league, $100 a person, you and the guys you grew up with. So they want to send you your winnings over Venmo. You got $1,200 from fantasy football. Just know the IRS is watching that. Why? Because they just hired 87,000 people who have nothing to do all day except track those sorts of transactions. Mike Johnson wants to remove the funding from that and send it to Israel. As I've said it once, I've said it numerous times, I don't believe there should be any overseas funding. But if there's going to be, let's at least make it revenue neutral. We've been hearing that phrase revenue neutral for years now, and it's never happened. All they've done is progressively kick the can down the road. Kevin McCarthy wants to come out and say things like, oh, we cut the budget by $2 trillion. No, you didn't. All you did was back end the spending. A lot of times you'll see this in sports contracts where they'll sign a guy for 10 years and $200 million. And instead of paying him $20 million a year, they'll pay him, I don't know, 10 for the first couple of years, and then towards the end, the money will get bigger. That is what Kevin McCarthy means when he says he's cut the budget. So let's just say you're watching this and you run into your local congressman. I don't know what his name might be. Let's say it's what would your local congressman be? Nick LaLota, let's just say he's speaking at a local meeting coming up soon, and you want to go to it. And he says, well, we cut the budget by $2 trillion. No, you didn't. All you did was borrow from Peter to pay Paul 5 years down the road. Mike Johnson has put a stop to that. And moreover, he's put Democrats in an impossible position, because any Democrat who votes against this bill, if Chuck Schumer doesn't bring it to the floor, all that is done is tie them in with the squad, make them show themselves for the radicals that they are. And I want to thank Mike Johnson for actually using the space between his ears and showing these people for what they truly are. We're going to move on to the next story in 1 minute, because we've got to talk about the three amigos from Long Island voting to expel George Santos, despite the fact he hasn't been convicted of anything yet. Before we get to that, guys, Mike Lindell.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog beds.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD. Please support the people who support this show. You can pick up your Giza Dream Sheets, your MyPillow 2.0s. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal stuff. So, let's move on here. Obviously, the House of Representatives is voting to expel George Santos. This vote could come as early as this week. You guys know, full disclosure, George is a friend, a good friend of the show, and it's hard for me to be unbiased about this. However, I want you guys to absorb some sort of context involved in this. As the House weighs a historic decision, I want to show you and I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty. That's what courts are for. That's what this country was built on, a fair-minded judicial system. Now, I know that that's been washed away over the course of the last 50 years in this country. More recently, the last 5 years in this country. Ever since the nonsense Me Too movement, where an accusation was all that mattered to destroy a person's life. That once you're accused of a crime, like losing your gun, you are immediately found guilty, or not living in your district, or having a few drinks and driving home. If you know, you know. This from the Washington Post. Embattled. So just know this is the Washington Post, so it's gonna have a left-wing hinge to it. But I want you to see the difference in the way they talk about the Republicans and George Santos with the way that Chuck Schumer talks about Bob Menendez, who quite literally was bribed with bars of gold, like some kind of fucking 15th century pirate. Like you bribe Bob Menendez the same way you would bribe Jack Sparrow. The embattled Rep. George Santos is set to face expulsion as soon as today. becoming the first congressman in more than 20 years to be removed in a motion brought forth by Republicans from his own delegation. Unlike the other 5 members throughout U.S. history who were kicked out by an overwhelming majority of the House, Santos would be the first to immediately be ousted without being convicted of a crime. Washington Post says that. Establishing such a precedent has prompted members of both parties to seriously weigh the consequences of expelling George Santos, who has pleaded not guilty to 23 federal charges in New York. The House has faced a turbulent several years that has been featured by a removal of civility and decorum between the parties, resulting in a rash decision to immediately condemn lawmakers or call for their ousting. A swath of lawmakers worry that removing Santos ignores the presumption of innocence and would set a precedent that expulsion is a standard option for remedy at a time when we are trying to get back to norms in the House. This from Anthony D'Esposito. Anybody that's been awake, that has been reading the newspaper and looking on Twitter, understands every reason why he should be ousted. Really? I didn't know that Newsday was trial, jury, and executioner. I didn't know that we based people being expelled from the House on Twitter. I didn't know that we did that. Very nice. Very nice. He has formally introduced a resolution under privilege on Thursday to force a speedy consideration of his removal. But it remains unclear whether or not Santos will be successfully ousted, given that expulsion requires approval from 2/3 of the House lawmakers voting, or 282 of the chamber's 223. This is incredibly important. This is incredibly important stuff. Democrats have repeatedly called for Santos's ouster, and fewer than 10 among the party's 212 House members remain hesitant to vote for his removal, according to a person familiar with the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Republicans, though, do not expect many within their conference to vote in support, even though a dozen have previously called for him to resign. Now, who has called for it? Who has called for it? Nick LaLota, Andrew Garbarino, Anthony D'Esposito, Mike Lawler, and Mark Molinaro. You see, it's frustrating to me because last week I congratulated Mark Molinaro on a job well done. Now you must go back on the shit list, my friend. Now you must go back on the shit list. You know, Mark Molinaro, the guy that couldn't win an election without riding Lee Zeldin's coattails, that guy. And I know that for a fact because for those watching around the nation, you'll know that there was a special election in Mark Molinaro's district just 2 months before the actual election, and he got swamped. He got the floor mopped with him. And then Lee Zeldin was on top of the ticket, and he paraded himself right into Congress. So just know, my friend, no one is unbeatable. And I will see all 5 of you on the breadline. Well, maybe not Garbarino because, you know, everyone dumps money into him because they're afraid of his dad. Several House Republicans have raised concerns about Santos' expulsion before the House Ethics Committee had an opportunity to weigh in and on its findings. News of the pending report had a potential to delay Santos' ousting on the floor on Wednesday. Now, with that being said, what does Chuck Schumer think? What does Chuck Schumer think about this? Meanwhile, over in the Senate, lawmakers have called on Senator Bob Menendez to resign over a federal indictment alleging him and his wife accepted bribes in exchange for maintaining political influence with the country of Egypt. It's very possible that Bob Menendez could be classified as an Egyptian spy. However, Chuck Schumer has said that Menendez has the right to due process and a fair trial. and commended his decision to step down as chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senators have not discussed expelling Menendez, instead calling for his resignation before a conviction because they believe the evidence against him is overwhelming. Really. So, Chuck Schumer sits there and says, we'd really like Bob Menendez to resign, but he has the right to due process and a fair trial. Anthony D'Esposito says, oh, to hell with that. To hell with trials. What's a trial? What's due process? I mean, it's not like I was a cop for 20 years, but hey, let's ignore the trial. Let's ignore lawyers and juries and any semblance of fairness. He made me look bad, so now we've got to expel him from Congress. You guys are fucking cowards. You're cowards. And you know, I know you're cowards because I've invited each and every one of you to come sit in this chair and explain to me why I'm wrong. None of you will do it. You'll pretend I don't exist. And then you'll come back kissing my ass when it's election time. Ha-ha. And unlike you, I will not glue my lips to the ass of the establishment hacks. I won't do it. And I'll go on any show and defend it. Invite me. You won't. You're afraid. You're absolutely afraid. Before we keep rocking and rolling here, rolling and rocking, hit that thumbs up button, guys, if you're watching on Rumble. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the like button. Come on, let's keep on rocking and rolling here. Guys, real quick, before we keep going, anyone, I got a big sale for you guys, big sale over at loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. You guys can pick up all the new stuff over at loudmajorityusa.com. And you can use promo code LFA for 10% off everything on the website. That is promo code LFA for 10% off everything on the website. We've got the new military green hoodies in that I know people had been asking about. Let's keep on rocking and rolling and rocking. You can get your Donald Trump did nothing wrong shirts. Let's keep on going here. We got some new zip-up hoodies. I know a lot of you guys have been asking for those, so go grab those real quick. LoudMajorityUSA.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Check out the shop. Please consider supporting this show. This is how we keep the lights on over here at the Loud Majority. And if you guys get anything on the website, decal, hat, t-shirt, sweatshirt, flag, whatever, I will send you a free Let's Go Brandon flag as a way to say thank you. A free Let's Go Brandon sale to show my appreciation for each and every one of you. So thank you all so much. That's how we keep the lights on here at the Loud Majority. Please consider supporting this over here, Loud Majority. Let me throw it in the chat just in case anyone didn't hear it the first time. LoudMajorityUSA.com. Use promo code LFA for 20% off and get your free Let's Go Brandon flag. Let's Go Brandon flag. You're right, Carmi. Let's all remember those names when the next election comes up. Let's all remember those names when the next election comes up. So one more quick story. Also, make sure you guys have it locked and loaded for 1 p.m. on LFA TV. Obviously, we've got Ryan Mata in the chat, my fellow host who comes on directly after me at 2 o'clock. Make sure you guys keep it locked and loaded there. So a Cornell University student, Patrick Day, who is an engineering student, was arrested in a horrendous Cornell University anti-Jewish death threat. The 21-year-old student was arrested on Tuesday for making horrendous anti-Jewish death threats at Cornell University that put the Ivy League campus on high alert over the weekend. A junior majoring in engineering at the prestigious university was named in the federal complaint charging him with posting death threats to kill or injure another using interstate communications, which could land him in jail for 5 years. The Pittsford, New York native was formally charged just hours after state police troopers identified him as a person of interest. The disturbing messages, which came days after "Fuck Israel" graffiti was scrawled all over the sidewalk in upstate New York, was revealed by university officials on Sunday. Quote, "The genocidal fascist Zionist regime will be destroyed," says one of the messages posted on a public forum. Real nice. He also wrote, "We should all," quote, rape and kill the Jewish women before they birth more Jewish Hitlers. Whatever the hell that means. They allegedly tried to shoot up 104 West, a university dining hall that caters predominantly to kosher diets, and to slit the throats of Jewish men he came across. Now, I want to be clear. Is it terrifying that this is happening? Absolutely. But if you're posting this stuff on an internet forum, you're probably too much of a coward to do it in real life. So I hope this guy rots away in jail. He's only looking at 5 years, which means in the state of New York, he'll probably be in jail for about 25 minutes or so, because we don't believe in arresting people here in New York. We believe in letting them shoot heroin on the sidewalk and push old ladies in front of subways. Hey, New York, if you can make it here without being pushed in front of a subway by a deranged anti-Semite, you can make it anywhere. That's the new slogan here in the state of New York. We are going to wrap up here, guys. I will be back at 1 p.m. today. Also, next week, I got a real big announcement. For everybody, particularly my viewers from Pennsylvania. Stay locked and loaded for that. I'll be back at 1 o'clock on LFA TV. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button on the way out the door. Keep sharing this video out all over the place. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll be back here Friday morning. If not, I'll be at 1 p.m. on LFA TV. Until then, everybody, stay loud.